Hi guys, Troy at the Full Setup, back with another RTX 2060 benchmark review. Now I've already showed that the RTX 2060, when paired with a Ryzen 2600, has some truly fantastic 1080 and 1440p gaming performance, but many of you have asked for me to benchmark it with Intel's competing CPU, the i5-8400. So for today's video, I will be testing 11 games with the i5-8400 with a mix of stock and overclock results for you. Over the next few weeks, I will also be benchmarking 1440p, 4K and ultra-wide performance. So if you want to see those videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. As for the RTX 2060, I have actually returned my palette model and I'm now using an Asus RTX 2060 Dual. Now this is the advanced edition with 6GB of GDDR6. Now this RTX 2060 has a max boost rating of 1725MHz, but as you can see here on screen, it's actually boosting way above that. And for the most, it's always been between 1875 and 1900 MHz at stock settings. Now there is a full specification list in the description for you, but just a quick overview for you. Now I've set the i5-8400 to its 3.8 GHz all-core turbo. I'm pairing it with 16GB of DDR4 running at 2666 MHz. I'm running it on an ASRock B360M Pro 4. Now I'm using a 550 watt power supply, but you should be fine with a 450 watt to 500 watt unit with this system. Now before we crack on with the benchmarks, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you. Everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's liked, everyone who's commented to this video. Now I have affiliate links in the description and it'd be great if you could use those. But I'm obviously getting some money from those, and I returned my RTX 2060 and I bought a new model and I bought it with affiliate money. Now I couldn't have done that without you, so I really want to do something for you. Deepcool have been sending me a huge amount of coolers over the past 12 months, so I'm going to be giving away an L240 liquid cooler. The competition is going to run for about a month when I announce the winner, and you can find out how you enter that competition at the end of the video. Okay then, let's start the benchmark with some stock versus overclock performance. So we're going to start with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now we are at ultra settings with TAA enabled. Now at stock we have a minimum of 79 and an average of 98 frames per second. Overclocking the GPU does see some gains. We have minimum of 84 and an average of 103 frames per second. Moving on to the latest of the Far Cry series, then we've got New Dawn at Ultra with TAAA enabled, and at stock settings we have a minimum of 67 and an average of 90 frames per second. Now overclocking the GPU does see some gains. We have a minimum of 73 and an average of 97 frames per second. Moving on to Shadow of War at Ultra with TAA enabled. At stock we have a minimum of 68 and an average of 99 frames per second. Now overclocking the 2060 sees the most gains out of the stock versus overclock performance. We have a minimum of 74 and an average of 107 frames per second. Now for the rest of the benchmark, we're just going to focus on gameplay footage. And as you can see, the graphics card is still overclocked, as I've explained in all of my previous videos. Now this is because I record using Nvidia's built-in Shadow Play, so that's going to lose me about 5 frames per second. Overclocking is going to gain about 5 frames per second, so it sort of levels itself out. Really what you're looking at here is much closer to stock performance. If you're overclocking your GPU, you know you're just going to get a little tiny bit more. Now Forza Horizon at ultra settings has no trouble running on this system whatsoever. As you can already see there from the footage, we are getting averages of over 120 frames per second, sort of sat around the 120 mark, so very impressed with how well this game runs. Moving over to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds then. Now I'm playing PUBG at the settings I like to play at the moment, so these are my sort of competitive settings. So everything is set to low, but I have view distance set to ultra. Now you can see there's a little bit of bottlenecking up in the top left hand corner. The GPU percentage isn't all the way there, but it's doing a very fine job at maxing out my 144Hz panel, and I still think this game does look fantastic at low settings. Bumping it up to ultra, and again this game runs incredibly well. You can see here we're getting frame rates of over 100 frames per second, so I'm very happy with its ultra performance as well. So moving on to the most demanding game today, other than Battlefield's ray tracing, which we'll show you in a minute, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed games have always been very demanding, very hard to run at maximum settings, and the RTX 2060 has no problem running at ultra high settings, and this is a game that, to be fair, I'm happy to play at under 60 frames per second in certain areas. Not exactly the most fast-paced game out there, but me personally, I prefer to just play at very high settings. This means my frame rate, no matter how busy and, you know, with the big sort of battles that they built into it now, you're still going to be sitting above that 60 frames per second. Moving on to everybody's favorite new free battle royale, then Apex Legends. Now, as you can see from this footage, I haven't been playing it very long. I've actually been really busy over the last week, so this is like third round, I think, that I've played. And at very high settings, you're going to see some very good frame rate in areas. You're going to see frame rate going well over 100, well over 120, but you are going to see some dips as well. You're going to see some dips around to the 100 FPS mark. So I would recommend dropping some settings. Again, this is a game I would rather lower the settings where I can and make the most out of my high refresh rate panel. I must say this game runs absolutely fantastic. EA have done an absolutely fantastic job. Well, Respawn, not EA because we don't like EA, but Respawn have done an absolute fantastic job on this game. And it is going to feature plenty more in upcoming videos. Moving on to Black Ops 4 at very high settings, and as you can see, it's very similar to Apex Legends. So we've got plenty of frame rates going way over 100 frames per second, really making use of my high refresh rate panel. But you are also going to see dips down to the 100 FPS mark, so I definitely recommend lowering some settings if you're gaming at higher refresh rates like myself. Firstly, I would just turn down things like AA. There's a lot of shadow options that you can turn off as well, and then you're going to see your frame rate get much closer to that 144Hz mark. So I have a huge amount of ray tracing and DLSS gameplay for you to see here, so I'm just going to let this bit of the video run. Then I'm going to come back at the end. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the RTX 2060's ray tracing performance, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the performance of non-ray tracing games as well, and I'll let you know how you can enter that competition.
Objective data has been lost. We must take the enemy's objective to stay in this fight. Attention, the enemy now controls all the objectives.
Geht's dir gut? Was sagst du dazu?
We have now taken objective Anton. control of objective Anton.
Did they get you? No? Good. They probably heard us coming down from the roof and decided to ambush us. The beasts are getting smarter. We're lucky the mutants hate each other as much as they hate us. I really don't get why this zone is off limits to stalkers. The radiation and beasts are nothing special.
So there was the ray tracing and DLSS benchmark for you, and I must say I'm just a little bit annoyed so many games have come out this week and updates also to Battlefield. I know for gamers that's a great thing, but for me making this video, it's put the video back. I did actually plan to release this video about a week ago, and I'd really like to spend the next few days playing Metro, but I have more benchmarks to make. But from just playing it for a few minutes, the game looks absolutely fantastic with ray tracing turned on. I was noticing it instantly, and I am really looking forward to playing through with this game. But one thing I didn't like was DLSS. I noticed as soon as I turned it on, the whole game looked blurry. And as you can see, this gun here, we're just going to show the gun, and this is with DLSS off, and the gun looks very clear indeed. Now, as soon as we turn DLSS on, it just looks noticeably blurry to me. It's just something that I just didn't like. Luckily, the game actually does run pretty well without DLSS on. Drop a setting or two and you're going to be at a solid 60 frames per second. Exact same issue for Battlefield. DLSS at 1080p looks blurry. I actually uploaded that segment separately a couple of days ago, and most of the comments are just saying it looks blurry, and totally agree with you. And the other problem with Battlefield as well, as I've said in the other videos, it's the same for Battlefield 1, it's the same for Star Wars Battlefront 2, and it's definitely the same for Battlefield 5. DirectX 12 just isn't an enjoyable experience. It is full of stutters. There are less stutters with DLSS on, but still, I am not going to be playing this game with ray tracing on DLSS on. I have no interest in it. As you can see here, we're running it at DirectX 11, and the performance is just so much better. It is so much more fun to play this game in DirectX 11. But what about the rest of the games? The rest of the games then, so all the non-ray tracing DLSS, I keep tripping up when I say DLSS. Performance was very good indeed. The i5-8400 and the RTX 2060 are a very good pair, but it's a bit like when I uploaded some 1070 Ti videos last year. There are going to be some bottlenecks when you're pushing high refresh rates. If I was personally going to recommend a CPU to pair with this GPU for 1080p in shooters like I do, I would probably go with an i5-8600K or like an i7-8700. That's just the CPUs I would probably pair this graphics card with. So how do you enter the competition? And it's really simple. You've got two things to do. Firstly, you need to subscribe to the channel and hit my notification bell so you're going to get notifications to all my great content that's coming over the next few months. Then you need to get over to my Discord server. Now, there's a link to my Discord in the description for this video. As you can see here, there is a server where you can enter the competition. All you have to do is leave a comment. Please, I don't want a massive discussion on there. Just A comment saying enter is more than enough, and that will get you in the competition, and the competition ends on the 17th of March. Anyway, that's it from me today. If you like the video, leave a like. If you dislike the video, tell me why. If there's anything else you would like to see included in the video, any settings, any other games, please let me know in the comments section, and I'll be back with another video very soon.